Thank you, son. Good afternoon, everybody. This is February 1st. The meeting of Seattle City Council will come to order. It is now 2:02 p.m. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Peterson,
Here.
Pursuant,
Present.
Strauss,
Present.
Herbold,
Here.
Lewis,
Present.
Morales, Mosqueda,
Present.
Nelson,
Present.
Council President Juarez.
Here.
8 present.
Thank you. Let's move on to presentations. I'm not aware of any. And let's move on to approval of the minutes. The minutes of the Seattle City Council meeting for January 25th have been reviewed. If there's no objection, the minutes will be signed. Hearing no objection, the minutes will be signed. Madam Clerk, will you please affix my signature to the minutes? Thank you. Moving to the introduction and referral calendar. If there's no objection, the IRC will be adopted. Hearing or seeing no objection, the IRC is adopted. Moving on to our approval of the agenda. If there's no objection, the agenda will be adopted. And again, hearing and seeing no objection, the agenda is adopted. We will now go to public comment. I'm going to read some introductory remarks and then I'm going to hand it over to our Madam Clerk. Colleagues, at this time, we will open the remote public comment period for items on the City Council agenda, introduction and referral calendar, and the Council's work program. It remains, again, the strong intent of the City Council to have remote public comment regularly included on meeting agendas. However, as a reminder, the City Council reserves the right to end or eliminate these public comment periods at any point if we deem that the system is being abused or is no longer suitable for allowing our meetings to be conducted efficiently and effectively. Our city clerk will moderate the general public comment period, and I will now hand it off to Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, I understand we have 26 people signed up.
Correct.
So if we have 26 people, my rule of thumb is this, 26 people is over 20. So people will be given 1 minute to speak to the matters that are on today's agenda or any other matter regarding city business. All right, Madam Clerk.
The public comment period for this meeting is up to 20 minutes, and each speaker will be given 1 minute to speak. Speakers are called upon in the order in which they registered to provide public comment on the Council's website. Each speaker must call in from the phone number provided when registered and use the ID and passcode that was emailed upon confirmation. Please note, this is different from the general meeting listen line ID listed on the agenda. If you did not receive an email confirmation, please check your spam or junk mail folders. Once a speaker's name is called, staff will unmute the appropriate microphone and an automatic prompt of "you have been unmuted" will be the speaker's cue that is their turn to speak, and then the speaker must press *6 to begin speaking. Please begin speaking by stating your name and the item that you are addressing. Speakers will hear a chime when 10 seconds are left of the allotted time. Once you hear the chime, we ask that you begin to wrap up your public comment. If speakers do not end their comment at the end of the allotted time provided, the speaker's microphone will be muted to allow us to call on the next speaker. Once you have completed your public comment, we ask that you please disconnect from the line, and if you plan to continue following this meeting, please do so via Seattle channel or the listening options listed on the agenda. The public comment period is now open, and we will begin with the first speaker on the list. Please remember to press *6 after you hear the prompt of "you have been unmuted." Our first speaker is Howard Gale, followed by Shirley Henderson.
Good afternoon. Howard Gale, District 7, speaking on our failed police accountability system. Sam Toshiro Smith, Shun Ma, Leighton Taylor, Charlena Lyles, Danny Rodriguez, Ryan Matthew Smith, Terry J. Caver, Derek J. Hayden, and the person still unnamed killed on January 5th. These are the 9 people killed by the SPD in the last 6 years and unaccounted for in the data presented to the Council by the Federal Court Monitor last week. Last Tuesday, the Public Safety Committee discussed the crisis intervention data using a report based on flawed and self-serving statistics provided by the SPD. Once again, Council members sit passively by while the real lives, the real harm, the real tragedies, and the destruction of public trust are turned into numbers and statistics. Erased from life, denied an independent investigation, homicides covered up by a failed accountability system, and now Seattle has further rendered their tragedies invisible by manipulating numbers. Police accountability started because of the murders of people like John T. Williams. What greater disrespect could there be than to turn these individuals into statistics?
Thank you. The next speaker is Shirley Henderson, followed by XOE Amir.
Thank you. My name is Shirley Henderson. I'm a small business owner in District 3, and I'm calling to urge all 8 Democrats on City Council to support Starbucks workers in their unionization effort by voting yes on Councilmember Sawant's resolution on February 8th without any delay. Starbucks posted record Q4 profits in 2021, while their baristas, or so-called partners, are still being denied basic needs like COVID safety. As someone who's been a barista for years, I've heard from so many other baristas their personal experience of sexual harassment, gender, and racial discrimination on the job in an industry where you are expected to be a skilled laborer dealing with high-volume workload but paid unlivable wages and often in discriminatory working conditions. It's therefore inspiring to see Starbucks workers taking this crucial step, and if successful, will set the stage for workers organizing across the city. That's why I'm here to let Democrats on City Council know that baristas, progressive small businesses, and workers are watching. If you as a politician are genuinely progressive, the answer is simple. Vote yes on the resolution from Starbucks workers and Councilmember Sawant, and I encourage folks to join a nationwide day of action to keep up this pressure. Thank you.
Our next speaker is XOE Amir, followed by Kate Martin.
Hello, my name is Zoe Amer. I'm a District 4 resident. I started my first coffee job in Seattle in 2008 and worked in cafes for over 10 years. First of all, I want to thank Councilmember Sawant for putting forward this resolution and for introducing the $15 minimum wage in a time when I made maybe $11 an hour with tips. Service work is backbreaking labor. It's skilled, manual, and emotional labor, and it's labor that makes the city and economy run. The workers in the city have to protect each other. Let the Starbucks baristas who stood together and won paid isolation for their fellow workers nationally because they aren't willing to die for shareholder profit serve as an inspiration to all service workers out there. Contrary to what Alex Peterson feels, who wants to abstain from voting on resolutions without material impact on the city because he doesn't want to keep exposing himself as a conservative corporate politician, nothing could be more relevant to the material interests of the service workers who make the city run in the city where Starbucks is headquartered. Council members, if you support the well-being of the person that makes your coffee every morning, show us and vote yes on the resolution in support of the Starbucks workers unionization.
Our next speaker is Kate Martin, followed by Michael Vitz-Wong.
My name is Kate Martin. Every week I litter pick at tent encampments. The conditions there still blow my mind each and every time, even after more than a year doing this. Sometimes I'm on my own, sometimes I'm with a volunteer group. We pick up disgusting stuff and we bag it. We even double bag it. It's always on public property, either in street rights-of-ways or in the parks. I find the work fulfilling because sometimes no one's ever been there before us. Sometimes 3 or 4 feet deep of detritus we pick through and bag. Without that, it invites a lot of rats, lots and lots of rats. Still, we're very happy to do it because almost no one else does it, and living in and on that stuff is just too much for anyone. But here's the problem. On some of those picks, it doesn't make sense to use the Find It, Fix It app because that can mean we have to clean it up twice. Piles that are left like that get ripped into by rats and other scavengers, so we have to do it again because almost a week will pass at times. It's really insult to injury that we have to pay for it. We're looking for a way that the city can pick up the tab at the dump for us. Again, we're often donating thousands of dollars.
Our next speaker is Michael Vitz-Wong, followed by Yvette Dinish, who is showing as not present.
Hi, my name is Michael Vitz-Wong. I was born in Ballard and am now a renter in Fremont. I'm a union worker for the Seattle Public Libraries, organized in AFSCME 2083. And I'm calling in today to urge City Council members to vote yes on Shama Sawant's resolution supporting Starbucks workers' unionization drive. This is a really simple question of whose side are you on? That of the Starbucks corporate executives or the working class baristas and servers asking for basic rights in the workplace? While food service workers were called heroes and essential workers throughout the pandemic, support for frontline workers has since disappeared. As we all know, hazard pay for grocery workers was stripped away last month, while the ongoing hazards are, of course, more present now than ever. And so while Starbucks CEO Kevin Johnson's able to rake in $20 million last year, and while Howard Schultz owns $5 billion of wealth, Starbucks baristas all over the country are struggling to get by. Inflation has reduced the real power of their wages, while businesses reopening have subjected them to increased exposure to COVID. Every worker deserves the right of a union to organize for stronger protections in the workplace. One of the first.
Our next speaker is Yvette Dinish, who is showing as not present. So we will move on to Margot Stewart, followed by Brian Siccho Lopez.
Hi, my name is Margot. I'm a renter and worker on First Hill, and I'm calling to join others in urging the Council Democrats to stand with Starbucks workers fighting for a union and vote yes on Councilmember Sawant's resolution condemning Starbucks' shameful union busting. I actually just came back from talking to folks in my community about the union drive, and the response from them was resoundingly positive. Even to people who hadn't heard about what was going on, it was a no-brainer to support the baristas who helped them start their mornings in their fight for union representation, fair pay, and COVID protections. And I think to have the city council in the city where Starbucks was founded, condemn the hundreds of thousands of dollars Starbucks is spending from their immense pandemic profits just to keep their workers down from having a fair say, that would be a huge deal to not just the workers at the 3 shops organizing in this city, but around the country. It's not just symbolic, it will have a material impact. And I think that's especially important in the midst of this new COVID surge where, we've seen that it took a union for Starbucks workers to win paid isolation when exposed. And that's the only way we're going to help people keep people.
Our next speaker is Brian Siccho Lopez, followed by Barbara Finney. Please remember to press *6. Okay, Brian Siccho Lopez, I don't see that you're coming off mute, so we'll move on to Barbara Finney.
Hi, my name is Barbara Finney. I'm a delegate to the MLK Labor Council for FG 3197, a member of Seattle Democratic Socialist America and the National DSA Labor Commission. Speaking in a personal capacity, I call on Seattle Council members to vote yes on Councilmember Shama Sawant's resolution. The brave rank and file workers union drive at Seattle Starbucks is part of a historic nationwide movement going on right now. Your vote to support CM Sawant's resolution is a small but important part of the effort to directly improve Seattle workers and keep Seattle a union town. From the resolution, whereas baristas working at the Starbucks located in Seattle's Capitol Hill have reported that they and their coworkers are attempting to organize into the union, Starbucks Workers United. They have requested support from elected officials to demand Starbucks let the workers freely decide without any interference, threats, or intimidations. End of quote. These are standing as elected officials support the Starbucks workers unionizing in Seattle. Thanks.
Our next speaker is Daniel Kavanaugh, followed by Hannah Swoboda.
Hey, my name's Dan. I've worked in food service for 8 years, and I've been a barista for 2 years, and I'm calling to urge all council members to pass Councilmember Sawant's resolution supporting the Starbucks workers. In my time working in cafes in Seattle, I've dealt with conditions like low pay, unreliable schedules, sexual harassment, unsafe conditions, even wage theft and retaliation. Some of the worst things include working at a cafe where the owner refused to deal with an out-of-control roach infestation for months, even after the health department got involved. I worked as a line cook once where I was classified as an independent contractor. But the number one thing that stands out to me in my 8 years in food service, I once had a coworker speculate that the ceiling might cave in due to water damage and tell me seriously that he hoped it would happen when he was there and he would get injured so he could get workers' comp. I mean, this is why all cafes, all restaurants need a union. Starbucks workers are leading the way, and you have a responsibility to support this resolution against the union busters. Stand with the workers.
Our next speaker is Hannah Swoboda, followed by Richie Tai.
Hi, my name is Hannah Swoboda, and I'm a renter in District 3. As employees at more than 50 Starbucks locations have begun the process of unionizing, Starbucks workers deserve the right to decide whether to form a union without any interference, threats or intimidation. But corporate executives and CEOs like Seattle's own Howard Schultz don't want workers to have that basic right. They've sent out-of-town managers to stores to intimidate workers, held captive audience meetings, and now are attempting to overturn the NLRB's decision to allow workers to unionize on a store-by-store basis. So that's why I'm calling on City Council to vote yes on Councilmember Sawant's resolution, calling on Starbucks to stop its union busting. Your choice is either to stand with workers or stand aside and do nothing in the middle of this historic moment for the labor movement. Let's support Starbucks workers and all workers fighting for better working conditions. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Richie Ty, followed by Addie Smith, and Addie Smith is showing as not present.
So where are we at then?
Richie Ty is up.
Pardon me?
Star 6.
Oh.
Okay, let's move on to the next speaker. Addie Smith is listed but not present. Mr. Ty, are you there?
I was having some. Yes, sorry, I was having technical difficulty unmuting him. Yes,
Please
my
go.
name is Richie Ty. Thank you. My name is Richie Ty. I'm a renter in Seattle District 3. I'm also a member of that workers union, and I'm calling in to ask that our council members support the resolution to support the Starbucks workers in their unionization efforts. It's the historically important momentous union. Starbucks workers have already won in some victories from the union victories. They've won in where they've been able to organize, and we know from the recent union created at Alphabet Workers Union how important it is for workers to be able to stand together and fight for our rights. Starbucks has some of the others, as some of the other speakers mentioned, tried to suppress workers from banding together.
Our next speaker is Addie Smith, who is showing as not present. So we'll move on to Mark Taylor Canfield.
My name is Mark Taylor Canfield. I'm Executive Director for Democracy Watch News. In our coverage of pro-democracy movements around the world, it's clear that a healthy democracy requires the right for workers to organize for better wages and better working conditions. So I'm speaking in favor today of Councilmember Sawant's resolution to support the Starbucks employees in their efforts to organize a union. We're living in a state with the most regressive tax system in the United States. Seattle has a 10% sales tax. Meanwhile, billionaires like Howard Schultz, Bill Gates, and Jeff Bezos have acquired more wealth than anyone has ever even imagined was possible. Gates and Bezos make more money per minute than most working people make in an entire year. So as the middle class disappears across the nation and poverty increases with millions of people left with inadequate housing or health care, we owe it to cafe workers to make enough to support themselves and their families. If we're going to allow rents to skyrocket in this city with no recourse to rent control or affordable housing, we must allow workers to make enough money to live where they work. It's time for elected public officials to support workers and give them a chance to survive financially. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Acacia Potts-Schmidt, followed by Rachel Ibarra.
Hello, my name is Acacia Potts-Schmidt, and I'm a resident of Seattle's Sandpoint neighborhood in District 4. Like so many others calling in today, I am here to voice my support for the resolution put forward by Councilmember Sawant in support of unionizing Starbucks workers. Despite the clear illegality of such actions, Starbucks has persisted in its efforts to vocally intimidate workers and undermine their rights to democratically organize their workplaces for livable wages, sufficient benefits, and a greater say in company policies that directly impact their health and safety. After 2 years of food service workers compromising their wellness to protect Starbucks' ballooning profits, voting yes on this resolution represents the bare minimum of what an ostensibly progressive pro-labor council would do to signal its support for workers. Please vote in favor of the resolution next Tuesday, February 8th, and tell Starbucks corporate that any union-busting tactics here in Seattle will not be tolerated. Starbucks workers have the right to democratically organize their workplace without interference. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rachel Ibarra, followed by Michael Malini, who is not present.
Hi, my name is Rachel Ibarra, and I'm a worker at Starbucks on Capitol Hill. I'm calling to ask the council to support Councilmember Kashama Sawant's resolution in favor of us, the workers, to encourage Starbucks to stop union busting. We are tired. We are desperate for a living wage and enough rights to be able to make going to work every day not a nightmare. We need to be able to afford to pay rent. We need to be able to get ourselves to the doctor, and we can't right now. We need your support in having the ability to unionize and fight for these rights that are required in order to live. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Michael Malini, who is showing as not present. So we will move on to Daniel Wang, who will be followed by Emily MacArthur.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a renter in District 4. I'm calling in to urge council members to vote yes on Councilmember Sawant's resolution to condemn Starbucks' shameful union busting tactics. The unionizing Starbucks workers in Seattle and around the country are bravely leading a charge in the working class to fight for a livable wage, comprehensive health care, and protection from workplace sexual harassment and workplace democracy. And as always, their corporate giant employer is viciously trying to crack down on this with intimidation and misinformation. In situations like this, it is time to pick a side. Do the progressive Democrats of Seattle stand with workers, or will they cover for the bosses like they did when trying to end hazard pay? Pick a side, the workers are watching.
Our next speaker is Emily MacArthur, followed by Sydney Durkin.
Hi, my name is Emily MacArthur. I'm a District 2 resident and a member of Socialist Alternative as well as DSA. I was a barista and a waitress for over a decade, and I'm calling to support Councilmember Sawant's resolution standing with Starbucks workers against union busting. There are many politicians on the City Council who call themselves progressive, pro-worker, and pro-union, but all council members, except for Councilmember Sawant, scandalously voted in December to end the $4 an hour grocery hazard pay. Grocery workers won that hazard pay back only because we spoke up and fought back. And that's why I'm here to let Democrats on the council know that workers are watching. If you are a genuine progressive, then it's simple. Vote yes on the resolution from Starbucks workers and Councilmember Sawant. If you vote no or try to water it down or delay it, you're siding with the union-busting corporate executives. If Starbucks workers in Seattle unionize, the resolution further urges Starbucks to bargain a fair contract such that workers can have good standards of living and the company's overwhelming wealth does not flow just to the top executives. In Seattle, our working class movement has beaten Amazon and Starbucks, and that's by getting organized and fighting back, not waiting for.
Our next speaker is Sydney Durkin, followed by Megan Murphy, who is showing as not present.
Hi, my name is Sydney Durkin. I'm a worker at Starbucks on Capitol Hill as well, and I'm calling in support of Kashama Sawant's resolution to support Starbucks workers and show solidarity with us. Right now, as we go into negotiations in Buffalo, public support matters more than ever. If we pressure Starbucks to then stand up to union busting and say that we will not stand for it as a political organization, as a city, then we will have that much more power bargaining for a fair contract and more power as this movement continues to grow, not only within Starbucks, but within the food service industry and beyond. We call on the council members to support this resolution, not only because it shows solidarity with Starbucks workers, but because it shows solidarity with workers everywhere, and for a movement that is only continuing to grow. We ask for your support, and thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Aiden Carroll, and then we will circle back to Brian Sigcho Lopez, and that should be the end of the public comment list.
Thanks. I'm Aiden, a renter in District 6 and a behavioral health care worker with SEIU 1199 Northwest. I'm not with Social Alternative. I did hear about this from Shama's email, and I wish more of you would email us out, letting us know about legislation and inviting us to comment. But I just want to emphasize the importance of everyone having a union, and specifically the union formation process is much more complicated than it needs to be. This resolution specifically points to the card check process that ought to be the way unions are formed, that resists the ability for employers to scare and propagandize people who initially supported it into later opposing it. While the PRO Act wasn't passed yet federally, you have the opportunity to publicly push Starbucks to do the right thing, because
And the last speaker is Brian Sicho Lopez.
Is it Mr. Lopez?
I think he might have a hard time coming off mute. Mr. Lopez, if you press *6. He's still showing us mute.
So let's give him a little bit more time here. Mr. Lopez, is it *6? Okay, so we were unable to get Mr. Lopez on the phone. So what we'll do then, Madam Clerk, let's let Mr. Lopez, if you're listening, to call in with your written or write in with your written comments to our website, or if he comes in the next, I don't know, minute, let's try to fold him in. We had a couple problems with a couple people, but we've gotten some information and we're directing them to make sure we have a correct email address. So I'm going to state that we are now reached our allotted time for our speakers, or I'm sorry, for public comment. So public comment is now closed. Thank you for those of you that have called in and expressed your opinion on the matters before us today and next week, actually. So with that, let's go to payment of the bills. Madam Clerk, please read the title.
Council Bill 120-262, appropriating money to pay certain claims for the week of January 17th, 2022 through January 21st, 2022, and ordering the payment thereof.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move to pass Council Bill 12062. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. I'm guessing there are no questions or concerns. It's not seeing any. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Peterson?
Yes.
Sawant?
Yes.
Strauss?
Yes.
Herbold?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Morales?
Yes.
Mosqueda?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Council President Juarez?
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes. The chair will sign it. And will the clerk please affix my signature? Thank you. So let's go to committee reports. We have 4 items on today's agenda. The first one is Councilmember Peterson, and items 2, 3, and 4 are Councilmember Nelson. Madam Clerk, will you please read item 1 into the record?
Agenda item 1, appointment 2093, reappointment of Kevin Werner as member, Levy to move Seattle Oversight Committee for term 2, December 31st, 2025.
Thank you. I move to confirm appointment 2093. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson, as sponsor of the appointment, please lead us through this appointment.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, this is simply a reappointment to the Move Seattle Levy Oversight Committee. Dr. Kevin Werner has served ably on the Oversight Committee and was recently selected by his peers as the vice chair of this oversight group. As chair of the City Council Transportation Committee, I also serve on the Oversight Committee, and that's which is required by the voter-approved levy adopted in 2015. And with only 2 years before that 9-year, $930 million transportation package expires, the Oversight Committee has a lot of work to do to make sure the new administration fulfills as many promises as possible made back in 2015 before we consider renewal of this large and important measure. In his day job, Dr. Werner leads teams of scientists concerned with the environment and climate change. We value Dr. Werner's experience and expertise, along with the contributions of all the members of the Oversight Committee, and we ask for your confirmation today. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, are there any comments or questions for Councilmember Peterson? I have one. Councilmember Peterson, when does this expire? The Move Seattle, the 930 million?
2024.
2024, okay, thank you. Okay, since I was the only one with the question, will the clerk please call the roll on the confirmation of the appointment?
Peterson,
Yes.
Sawant,
Yes.
Strauss,
Yes.
Herbold,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Mosqueda,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Council President Juarez.
Aye,
9 in favor, none opposed.
the motion carries and the appointment is confirmed. Thank you, Councilmember Peterson. Let's move on to item number 2. Please read into the record.
The report of the Economic Development, Technology, and City Light Committee, Agenda Item 2, Council Bill 120-259, relating to the City Light Department, authorizing and directing the General Manager and Chief Executive Officer of City Light to execute an interlocal agreement with the Kalispel Tribe of Indians. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Councilmember Nelson, this looks like this is coming out of your committee. You want to walk us through this?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. This legislation renews an interlocal agreement between the City of Seattle and the Kalispel Tribe and is the funding mechanism for ongoing development of a skilled workforce and cultural diversity in the community surrounding the Boundary Hydroelectric Project. First entered into in 2016, this interlocal agreement commits the City of Seattle to $215,000 over the course of 5 years. During the so that's the nuts and bolts of it. And just to give you a sense of what this funding does, and we do partner with other entities to support the training center. But during the last 5 years, the Kalispel Career Training Center had 28 people pass through the apprenticeship program, with 15 of those individuals working full-time, the 1-year check-in. And some of the graduates have gone into full certification in journey-level trades, such as plumbing, carpentry, residential electricity, welding and fabrication, and others. So this will go on for 5 more years, and the committee unanimously recommended that the bill pass.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Councilmember Nelson regarding this? Okay, not seeing any. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Peterson,
Yes.
Sawant,
Yes.
Strauss,
Yes.
Herbold,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Mosqueda,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Council President Juarez.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you. The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Madam Clerk, please affix my signature to this legislation on my behalf. Moving into item 3, will the clerk please read the item into the record?
Agenda Item 3, Council Bill 120-260, relating to the City Light Department, authorizing the department to accept as sole owner of fiber cable and associated facilities previously shared with the University of Washington, and ratifying and confirming certain prior acts. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Thank you. Councilmember Nelson.
All right, well, this legislation gives City Light the authority to accept full ownership of a 9.9 mile section of fiber cable that it currently shares with the University of Washington. UW doesn't need that capacity anymore, and the city could use it. The cable runs from the intersection of Northeast 145th Street and 37th Avenue Northeast in Seattle to the intersection of 228th Street Southeast and 29th Drive Southeast in Bothell. And so I just want to let you know that no money's changing hands here. The City of Seattle is not buying back this capacity because we don't lease out this shared use, and taking exclusive use of this section does not encumber the city with any significant future expenses, because the cable was recently upgraded or replaced in 2019, and the committee recommend that the bill pass.
Thank you, Councilmember Nelson. Are there any questions for Councilmember Nelson? Okay, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Peterson,
Yes.
Sawant,
Yes.
Strauss,
Yes.
Herbold,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Mosqueda,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Council President Juarez.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you. The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Madam Clerk, please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf. Let's go to item number 4 and Councilmember Nelson. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Will the clerk please read item 4 into the record and then Councilmember Nelson?
Agenda item 4, resolution 32040 relating to the City Light Department, affirming the City Lights Department's clean energy implementation plan as required under Washington State's Clean Energy Transformation Act. The committee recommends the resolution be adopted.
Thank you. Councilmember Nelson.
All right, well, just to echo, this is the first plan, the first clean energy implementation plan, because the Washington Clean Energy Transformation Act was recently adopted into law in 2019. The CEIP is consistent with existing city goals and plans, such as City Lights Strategic Plan, the Race and Social Justice Initiative, Green New Deal, Climate Commitment Act, Greenhouse Gas Commitment Resolution, the Environmental Equity Initiative, and others. The first Clean Energy Implementation Plan addresses the following 3 critical requirements, explains the steps City Light is taking over the next 4 years to make progress towards serving customers with 100% non-emitting or renewable resources no later than 2045, develops the foundation to measure and ensure equitable access to clean energy, and describes their outreach to customer owners that has informed this plan. And the committee unanimously recommends passage of this resolution.
Thank you, Councilmember Nelson. Are there any questions, folks? Okay, not seeing any. Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption?
Peterson,
Yes.
Sawant,
Yes.
Strauss,
Yes.
Herbold,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Mosqueda,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Council President Juarez.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you. The resolution is adopted and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? Okay, so moving on to adoption of other resolutions or business. I think that's what this says. I don't see any. Okay, so let's move to adjourn, but before we adjourn, this does conclude our items of business on today's agenda. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is on February 8th at 2, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. We are adjourned. Thank you.